Hello, Louisville. Hello, Louisville. Guess who's coming to dinner? Hello, Louisville. Got to straighten up here a little bit. Having a few little technical difficulties. And always at the wrong time. Hey, so guess who's coming to dinner? Welcome back. Welcome back from, hope you had a productive week. A lot of things been going on in the city. A lot of things been going on in the world. I think they're working on trying to take our voting rights, and so today I see that Black women are mad. Y'all better look out because we do not play, and we do not play. What's up, my sister? I see you. I'll bring you in a minute. Just glad to be here on Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Thank God for this beautiful, blessed day. Give me another day to talk to you. I'll tell you what I did this week. This week I went over to the Goodwill and I made a presentation called Dare to Dream. I told them, when I go to bed to dream, not to sleep, to dream. So I'll have a grasp on how to do things in my life. I don't know if that's just a part of my creative energy, but it works for me. But today we're venturing off. We're getting ready to go deal with some things going on in the motherland. Do you hear me? In the motherland. Now, my guest today is my sister in love. That's just what I'm going to call them. She and I know what that's all about, but this is my sister in love. And I'm going to introduce to some and present to everybody else my sister, Miss Victoria Blakey. What's up, sis? Can you hear me?
I can hear you well.
Oh, and I can hear you well now myself. How you doing, girlfriend?
I'm doing fantastic. And what about you?
Wonderful. Oh, you look gorgeous. I've got my motherland. You gave me my motherland vibe today. Oh, you look good with your neck bracelet on. Go ahead. So,
Thank
you. Vicky, I'm gonna call you Vicky because when we
That's
were
much
younger, I called you Vicky.
That's right.
I want you to tell my audience about your work. You've been more or less doing kind of missionary work over in Africa for years. So tell us, how did you get involved into that?
We can talk about that for hours.
No.
I went to Africa initially in October of 2003. Actually, in February. Actually, and I went for 6 weeks. I was going on vacation. I had tore the hamstring in my right leg. I'm a retired nurse now, and so I couldn't work. So I was off for 6 months. And so I said, well, I think I'm going to go to Africa and hang out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I did. And so when I got there, just some strange feelings started coming over me, Jan. It was amazing. And I met a couple of African guys, that people that just in passing and would tell me, it's like, you're not going back to America. Like, Africa's got you by the ankle. You're not going back. And I was like, well, shoot. But every time I went to the airport to get my flight back to the U.S., the flight had been canceled. So I felt something in my spirit stirring. And so I just asked God, well, show me what I don't know. I don't know what to do, So I stayed. So I had met some friends, and so they rented me a house. And I stayed, and I still didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea. I didn't have any money or anything like that, so I didn't know I was going to take care of myself. So the first thing I knew to do was try to find a job. But I was on the beach one day just hanging out, and this little girl passed me. And she passed me, and when she passed me in slow motion. And her pupils were so big and black, and she was just so beautiful. and she had a tray of bananas, mangoes, and nuts on her head. And at the time of day that she was passing me, other children were in school, and this little girl looked to be between 6 and 8. And so I couldn't speak the dialect at that time. So I had got people that were around me call her back and ask her why wasn't she in school. And they kind of laughed at me when I said it, like, you don't understand. I was like, no, I don't, ask her to come back. So I asked her why wasn't she in school. And so she told me that she had to work to help take care of her family. This is a little girl, mind you, a little girl. And maybe a week prior to that, a 10-year-old had been molested, seriously molested, and almost left for dead by a European tourist. And so all I could do was thinking about this little girl, and she was in a tourist area, that the same thing could happen to her. And so I asked her where her mother was. She said her mother was working too. So I asked her, I wrote down my cell phone number and I gave it to her. And I told her the general area that I lived in, because there weren't really addresses, the area that I lived in. And I said, see if you can find me. I said, if you find me, I said, I don't know what's next, but just try to find me, And the next day, I wasn't at home. I was around the corner at a friend's house, but this little girl found me. And so I asked her, did she want to go to school? And she said, her face just lit up, and she said, yeah, she wanted to go to school. She was motioning, and I had a translator. And so I said, well, bring your mother back with me. And I said, I don't know what's going to happen, but let's see what we can do. So the next day, her mother shows up with the little girl and a knapsack. And she tries to give me this child. And she tells me, she says, you can take better care of her than I can. And just take her. She can cook for you. She can clean the house, and she can just take care of you and do anything that you need her to do. And I told her, I said, I would never take your child. I said, I'll help you in any way I can. I said, but I'm not going to take your child. I said, I really would like to try to put her in school. I said, I don't live here. I don't know anything. I said, but I'm going to try to find out. I said, but I'm not going to take her. I said, I'll put her in school. She said, well, let her stay for the day and clean the house and cook your food. I was like, no. I said, I don't want any of that. I said, take her home. Give me a way to contact you, and I'll let you know what I find out. So after going through different private schools that wouldn't take her, and even some of, they call them government schools or public schools, they call these children throwaway children. And if they haven't started going to school by the time they're in nursery school and kindergarten, they regard them as throwaway children. So they don't even care and try to get them in school.
Victoria, what part of Africa were you in?
Gambia, West Africa.
Okay, Gambia. Okay.
The story where the Kunta Kinte story comes out of. I was in Gambia.
Okay.
So when I tried to take her to the public schools, they wouldn't take her. So it's a shame. I paid $200. See, that's maybe about $5 US. So I was bribing the principal actually to let her come in class. And they said because of her size that they wouldn't put her in the first grade, they would put her in the second grade. And I said, well, she can't read or write. So the next thing I did was find a tutor to help bring her up to second grade level. And so I found a tutor to help her. Then maybe about a month later, I was doing my thing.
You're still in Africa.
I'm still in Africa. I haven't come home yet. I'm still in Africa.
Okay.
And so another little girl passes me, and the same thing happened. I said, oh, no, Lord, what are you doing to me? What are you doing to me? What are you doing to me? The same thing happens. I take this little girl and I put her in school, So by that time, I needed to start finding work. So I worked for a guest house, managing a guest house. Then I started writing for the newspaper called Observer there. And what I had learned from so many of the Africans that I was talking to, that they really had no conception of African-American history. They knew about slavery, and that was it. So it was almost like they thought that we went from slavery to being millionaires, because in Africa, they don't show you the homeless people. They don't show you the poverty and things like that on TV. They just show you all the good parts about what's happened in America.
This is what they're showing in Africa, on African in Gambia. The television is all about the good parts of the country.
Yes,
of Gambia, not the United States.
Exactly. And the same thing with the movies. They don't show you that people are sleeping on the street. They don't show you the disparities. They don't show
Hmm.
you any of that. So that's why you have so many Africans trying to leave Africa and drowning in the Mediterranean Sea and different seas trying to get from Africa into Europe because they're looking for a better way. And they don't know that if you don't have that education or if you don't have any backing, it's just not going to happen. You're going to come over here and the hard times are going to be just as rough as they are here.
Okay, so
So
Victoria, jump to what made you start your organization.
I started the little girls helped me start the organization because I
Right.
didn't have any money, so I needed money to help put them in school. But then later, I started encountering women my age, women older, some even younger, that couldn't read or write. I had a housekeeper. Just about everybody in Africa has a housekeeper. And I would
Okay.
always give her this long list of things to buy from the market because people don't go to grocery stores majorly. They go to an open market and buy fresh fish, fresh vegetables, fresh rice every day. So your
Right.
meals are always freshly cooked.
Fresh. Right.
And right. And so, because I have a Western set of mind, to me, I'm giving you this long list. I want to write it down. But she never missed anything before. But for some reason, to me, my mindset is I need to write this stuff down so I don't forget what I'm telling you to buy. And so I told her, her name was Yazin. I said, Yazin, I said, I'm going to find a school that can teach you how to read and write. And that's when the light bulb went off in my head. That was the aha moment. That's when I heard God speaking to my spirit. That's what you're here
Mhm.
for.
Oh wow.
And I was like, Lord, have mercy. I don't know how to do that. And God said, you didn't know how to do any of these things that you're doing, that you're here. I've brought you this
Mhm.
far. So I got on my computer and I learned how to write a curriculum for a person. I acted like I couldn't read or write. So how do you start with A, B, C, and one, two, three? And not saying that the people that are literate don't have common sense by no means. You have women running businesses, but people are taking their money because when they go to the bank, they are sending somebody else to the bank to get their money. So they don't know that people are actually taking all their money as opposed to maybe the few $100s that they're asking them to take.
Right.
So the women that work at the market and the seamstress, all the people, the women drive the economy of the Gambia, just like the world. The world is on women's shoulders. And so then I started realizing how many women. So at that time when we started, only 33% of the women in Gambia were considered literate.
Wow.
So and it was amazing because at that time it was a female vice president, but still she wasn't the norm. She was not the norm. So most of the women, Gambia is 92% Islamic. So before they send a girl to school, even if the boy is younger, the boy will go to school because the girl takes a lower hierarchy in the family. And
Okay.
in Gambia with certain tribes, they even marry the girls 13, 14 years old. So so I had also been working at the university as an administrative assistant. And so I
Hmm.
had been doing work with the student union and the student council. So I went to them and asked some of the students that hadn't graduated, would they be willing to be a teacher for my classes? So we actually started with 4 women in my living room in my house where
Okay.
I was in Gambia. And so the teacher that I had then now was the program manager for the organization. So she stuck with me. I told her, I said, I don't have any money. I said, I can barely pay you. So I think I was giving her the equivalent of maybe $10 a month to educate these women. And I
Hmm.
was, printing up the curriculum from my computer and buying all the supplies that they needed, their pens, their little notebooks and stuff like that. And so next thing I know, I had a line of women showing up at my door asking me to teach them how to read or write.
Oh wow.
So I said, this is
So the
just,
name. So
it,
the name. Tell
it's
me
nice to
about.
be,
It's beautiful. It's called. It's nice to be nice.
it's nice to be nice. Usually when I was in Gambia and different men would try to talk to me and I would kind of shun them because I really wasn't there looking for a relationship. That was one of the come on lines. Come on, sister, talk to me. It's nice to be nice.
Oh,
So
ha, hello. Oh. So,
so
but
so
you flip that around.
I flipped it around because truly it's nice to be nice. because I couldn't understand how so many other Gambians could consider their children, their women, throwaway people.
Yeah.
So it's not, come on, let's be nice. Let's be nice and help educate these women. Let's help educate these children. And so that's where the name It's Nice to Be Nice came from. Because
Okay.
truly, it is nice to be nice. The
Yes.
world would be such a better place if we were all nice to one another.
Have mercy.
And
You're
so,
absolutely right.
yes. So I had a friend that had a school for children. And so I asked her, could I rent her space because the women kept coming. So went from the 4 women in my living room to 15 women in the classroom because I felt like that was a big enough size for these women that had never been educated before to have one-on-one personalized attention in the classroom. And because all the women work, our classes were in the evening time. They were from 6 to 8:30 in the evening.
Okay.
And when I noticed that once we started the classes, that some of the women, they wouldn't show up all the time. And so when I queried them and found out why they wouldn't show up, it was because they didn't have car fare to come back and forth to class. So if
Right.
you're going to buy some bread or something to eat, you're going to buy that before you spend money to go to school.
Right.
So I also started giving them car fare or a monthly stipend to come back and forth to class. About a year and a half into it, I met a sister that
So
was
you're
working at the.
still in Gambia a
I'm
year and a half
still, I'm
later.
I'm still in Africa. I'm still in Africa.
Okay.
My kids think I lost my mind. Everybody said, you planned this, you knew you weren't coming back. And I was like, no, it's not true. I'm following my spirit. I'm following my spirit. I'm following my heart. I'm doing what God tells me to do. And I just nothing can overrule that. And
Right.
in the midst of that, my mom died.
Okay.
So, and I had lost the ability to walk. So I came back from my mom's memorial and to have surgery so I could walk again. And so when I was getting comfortable in America again in that little spans of time, and I heard in my spirit, I was like, why are you still sitting here? So I got up and got back on the plane.
Excuse me.
I got up and got on the plane and
You're
went back
like
to
me.
Africa. I know. Hold on one second.
Yeah.
I got up and got on a plane and went back to Africa. Went back to Africa and got right back in the saddle. And this time when I went back, I met this sister that worked at the American Embassy. And so we were talking and she asked me, she said, what do you do here? So I told her, I said, well, I've started this program and I'm teaching these women how to read and write. And she says, I think we can donate you some space. So she donated us a classroom through the American Embassy. So
Wow.
I was able to increase my class size to 30. But during that time, I had noticed that the young lady that I had sent through the class, I sent her back through the class a second time. Each session lasts 9 months. So we do this in a year.
Okay.
So I sent her through the class a second time because I told her, I said, I want you to be a teacher's aide. And so once I was able to get her through, I had her be an aide to my teacher. And so they kept coming.
Yeah.
They kept coming.
The
The
word the
women just
word got out.
the word got out. So the women just kept coming. So far we've educated almost 400 women. So
Oh,
so then I increased, to 2 classrooms, 30 in one classroom, 30 in another, and started teaching the students that I had to be teachers' aide. And if they could be a teacher's aide for 2 years and pass the muster, then they became teachers. So I stopped
okay.
hiring outside the classroom and started hiring in the classroom. So
Okay.
actually, 2 of my teachers now were actually students and housekeepers. So now they're teachers of the program. And the person that started with me, the teachers, now she's my program manager.
Okay.
So so we just keep on going, and for a while before the last administration came in the office, we were able to get grants from the American Embassy in Gambia. And that's where
Okay.
the major funding came from. I have some funders here, but not like the funding that we need to continue the program because we're talking about we were doing 60 women a year and buying all the supplies and give them transportation stipends, graduation certificates and money, prizes for, best attendance, for the people who got the best grades as incentives to keep on
Right.
coming.
Right. Exactly.
So we haven't been able to get that funding since the last administration been in the office. So it's really been a hard toll, on the ladies, But that's what it's nice to be nice is all about. It's about empowering the women. So now we have women that have gone through a program. We had one lady, she used to be a cleaner for the Department of Immigration over there. And now she's a receptionist because she can read and write, so she can do the documentation. So
Oh,
we've
wow.
moved people from mopping floors to sitting at desks, to
Hello.
not being able to be employable because they couldn't read or write, to now being employable. So that's what it's all about, for the women to be self-sufficient, to not have to stay in marriages where they are abused. For
Right.
young girls, we started age 17, so 17 and upward, because now
Okay.
it's easy.
So the little ones are still kind of the ones that you initially were working with. What's happening to
Those,
them, the younger ones?
those little girls now, one of them is married and she has her own bakery and catering business. And the other one is a midwife. Because I started them in 2004. So the other one now is a midwife. That's what they're doing now.
So how long has this program been going on?
The literacy program started in 2009. The care project for the children started in 2004. Once my girls went to secondary school, that's what they call high school, I hand that over to another team that could fund that better. And I focus totally now on the adult women.
On the adult
Because
women.
they're in such need, and women, exactly. So, and women now stay in such need. And so not only do we do education wise, but we also do health education. I'm a retired nurse. So when I went to Gambia, what I noticed that, you see women like me, I have hot flashes, and they were constantly going to the pharmacy getting antibiotics, thinking they either have malaria. And because Gambia is, like I told you, 92% Islamic, you have men that have 1, 2, and 3, 4 wives, the Islamic guys. So usually the fourth wife is usually the older wife that's been married when she was younger. So a lot of the women were under the conception that when the husband is coming back from seeing the other wives, they were bringing them a venereal disease. And so they would go get antibiotics because they thought they had some kind of disease, not understanding that they were having flashes, understanding menopause. So I started teaching my older women about menopause. And also I would talk about female genital mutilation. In certain parts of Africa, women get circumcised.
Right.
And so we started teaching against and talking to the mothers about not doing it to their young girls. And it's a prerequisite for my young girls I put in school that their parents not circumcise them.
Right.
So that's one of the things. So we speak on healthy.
Tell me this, Vicky.
Mm-hmm.
What's the plan for the future? What are you trying to, what is it that, I know you're over here. You told me the day we went out and had dinner together, that you're trying to raise funds for the school. And I think it's a very worthy cause. And what you're doing as far as the literacy aspect of it is very important. So what's your long-term goal for the school?
The long-term goal is I want to be able to raise funds to be able to buy a taxi, a used vehicle to put on the road as a taxi cab. So that money from the taxi cab will feed into the organization. It will also give a woman a job during the daytime. We probably will have a man drive at nighttime. Mm-hmm. But, that money will fuel the organization so the organization could be self-sufficient. So we don't have to rely on fundraisers. We don't have to rely on donors. And also getting the women to produce their own products that we can sell online.
Have you, since we've got a new administration, have you been able to get back in touch with getting funding from the embassy?
I have, usually you go online and there's a certain kind of grant that they have that we were qualified for. And so far that grant has not come back online yet. And even when I email our person at the embassy, I'm not getting any feedback on when that grant is going to come back online, because that grant was giving us over $15,000 a year. And that's how much is needed really to run the project. Because like I said, we're doing 60 women and we were, paying for all the supplies, all the booklets that, that we created, the organization itself created, the pens, the notebooks, everything, so they didn't have to come with anything because the women are poor, so if you're poor, you're going to spend money on other things besides, trying to, on a pencil, on a piece of paper, trying to go to school.
Right. So now you're up there in the Windy City.
Yes.
So and you said to me that you are here making an appeal for funds for this program. So how does one I've got your I think I have it. Wait a minute, Victoria. How's that work for you? That's the website?
Yes, that's the website, www.intbn.org. Yes.
Okay, I've got a H that thing. Let me make it www. That's all I need to do. But it's .org, right?
Yes.
So tell me, what happens when they go on the website and they find out all about the organization? Does it have a way that they can donate to you?
Yes, there is a donate page. There's also, if people don't feel comfortable donate online, there's also an address they can send checks to as well. There's a telephone number a person can contact me directly. We are a 501c3, so all donations are tax deductible.
Okay.
And when we get a donation from you, we'll definitely send you a letter saying that we received the funds and you've donated to the organization so you can use it for your taxes.
So aside from the taxi, you
also go
you need books. You what?
Well, the thing about books is that when you take things like that, you have to pay to take it. So really what the training materials that we have, we design and we get printed in Africa because it's cheaper for us to get our booklet printed in Africa than to have it printed here and take to Africa.
Okay.
So the same curriculum that was designed when the class started is the same curriculum that we have. And as opposed page, now we've put it in booklet form so the women can take it home so they can practice with it besides their regular notebook.
Okay.
And people can also go to It's Nice to Be Nice International on PayPal and donate directly through PayPal as well.
So you've been at this one of these two programs, the literacy program and the care program is more so for the younger children, right?
Yes, since 2004.
Since 2004.
Since 2004.
So when are you planning to go back?
It depends on the funding. I just don't go back to Africa just to be in Africa. When I'm going back, I'm prepared to work. So when the classes start, I go back before the classes start because I go back to evaluate my staff. I go back to do the buying up the supplies and set up the classroom. Because now, before we were getting the room donated from the American Embassy, we don't have that option anymore. So now we have to rent space for our classes. So I go back and I arrange everything, so all my teachers have to do is on registration day is come in and start registering them. And usually our registration lasts almost a week because so many women show up. So even right now, we have 700 people on our waiting list.
So when does registration usually start?
As soon as I hit the ground. So
there's no exact time frame that the school starts?
So school starts usually between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Because like I said, the majority of the people are Muslim, are Islamic. So those holidays don't affect them. So I'm usually in Africa right after Thanksgiving. And I'm usually in Africa up until March, until the class gets going good. So I get a chance to meet the students. Because I like to meet all the students and talk to them. That's so they can just know who I am, just so I can get a feel of them.
Right.
And so also they can see another woman that's behind them and supporting them. And that's really important. That's really important.
Wow. Well, it's something when you do the Lord's work, when He's ordered your steps to say, that, and you're following His guidance. And
what's amazing about it is, When I moved to Chicago when I was a kid between 9 and 10, life didn't get very nice for me. To me, it just got worse, and I started having a hard time as a young woman. And I remember when I was 16 years old, I said to myself, I was like, one day I'm going to have an organization to help women, because I was going through much as a young woman myself,
Right.
And so it's amazing to me that God heard that, and in
Yeah.
my latter years decided, here it is. This is what I have for you to do. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful that he chose me to do such a great work. It always brings tears to my eyes. It's been so fulfilling. It's just a beautiful thing to see these women blossom, because you have no idea, a person that can't read or write, they're hiding something inside themselves. No matter if you're around other people can do it or not. They're
And it's
hiding
got to
something.
be a strong sense of insecurity when you don't know
Exactly.
something's written on a piece of paper and you don't know what it's saying. That's got to
Exactly.
make you
Because
feel really insecure.
Exactly. So to watch the self-esteem of the women change through the program
Yeah.
is one of the most amazing things. Because imagine now, these people are voting. They're voting. If they can't sign their name, they're using their thumbprint to sign
Okay.
any documents. Even when they go vote, they're using a thumbprint. When they
But
go to
now
get a
at
bank,
least they can write their names.
they
They
can
can
write.
write their names. They can read what's on the ballot.
That's the main. That's the. I mean, when the women recognizes their own name and can write it, it brings back a whole transition, a whole
Yeah,
big transition.
I'm sure.
Just to be able to recognize your name, because somebody could write down the name Bullpucky on a piece of paper and said it's your name, and they wouldn't know any difference unless you taught them what their name looked like, how to write
Right.
their own name, how to spell it. So if that itself increases so much self-esteem, and then you can walk with your head high, and you can go to a bank. So if somebody asks you what's your name or to sign it, you can sign it, and you'll be amazed how many men are shocked when they walk up and sign their names, as opposed to putting their thumb out, because when they see some of the women coming, they immediately pull out an ink pad,
Right.
you know
Right.
but now
Right.
our women, they pull out their ink pen or their pencil, and they write their name, and they're just like, so
Yeah.
that's just
Well,
such a
it's something.
blessing.
It's something to be. I mean, it's got to be. I can't. I'm just trying to just emote the feeling of what it would be like to finally say, "Oh, this is what my name looks like," and now I can read. Because we've seen so many stories about um, illiterate African
That's right.
Americans, in,
That's
in
right.
from slavery, and how the intent to find a way to read, because when they brought us here, they didn't necessarily tell us, like they tell people that come to our country now, that they want us to assimilate.
Exactly.
You have to get into the culture. You have to mix with the people. You have to speak English, and you have to be able to write, or you have to be literate.
Exactly. And imagine you have these women on the local bus or local transportation. So they're riding up and down the street, saying all kind of billboards, all kind of signage, and not knowing what any of that means.
Right, right,
So even that, you have family planning and everything over there. So you can go and say, take this and take that, and they have no idea what it is they're taking. Even when
right.
they go to the even when they go to the pharmacy, they're taking somebody's word for what it
What
is that
it
they're getting.
is. Right, what it is.
Mhm.
Wow, that's scary. That's
It's
scary.
really, really scary. It's really scary. It's really scary because some people, period, just don't care. I can't say, I loved being in Africa, and I want to go, I desire to go back to Africa. I love Africa, but when we mistreat each other,
Yes.
it's a sad situation. And what we see happening in America is a microcosm of what we see going on in Africa, because they do abuse one another. They do
Right.
mistreat one another. They do steal from one another. One of my students, she was in the bank, and she was a produce seller. And so she bought a piece of land. And so she was going to buy, they call it fencing, some cinder blocks to put around so she could separate her land from somebody else's. So when she wanted to get her money out the bank, she had gave somebody the receipt. She told them to get out maybe $1,000, which is maybe 300 or 400 US dollars. but they had wrote extra zeros and took all her money from the bank. But she didn't know
Right.
because she couldn't write it. She didn't
Right.
know. So I mean, she
So
just
but
collapsed. Right?
she didn't go to the bank herself. So is there a fear of going into
Even when
establishments?
even no, she'll go, but even when you go, you kind of step back because if you got somebody else, handling your business, you kind of step back, to the side. So she
Right.
didn't know this guy was taking all her money. It was a family member.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
It
That's
was a
crazy.
family member. One of
So
my and
how
when I first
what are you doing something in Chicago? Are you going to have any type of fundraiser, or are you meeting with people while you're at home?
Yeah, I'm meeting with some people. My one of my major fundraisers, sad to say, one of my major donors passed recently. So that's sad. I'm sorry to say that, not because of the money, but it was just such a nice person. So I have donors, but the donors, it doesn't equate to what the organization needs right now, and
Right.
especially with COVID. And then I meet so many people that ask me, "Well, how come you're not doing anything here? And why are you doing it over there?" And I have to work where God sent me to work.
Right.
This it wasn't something I sat down and planned and thought out to do. I
Right.
followed my spirit. I follow what God gave me to do. So if God chooses for me to do something here in Chicago, that's what I'll do. But so
Mhm.
far, I'm following His direction, and that's the direction He's given me.
Well, I just wanted my audience to know about the program, and there could be somebody that's out there that's willing to help, and all I can do is pass the word on. And I know you were probably shocked when I had told you about that I had a podcast, and then I looked at
Yeah.
you after you had told me about uh, that you were here to raise money for your
Mhm.
literacy program in Gambia. And I said, well,
Mhm.
it sounds like you need to be on my show. I know that you weren't expecting that.
I really appreciate that. It's we need a platform. We need to speak about it. And we need to speak more about helping one another, no matter where we are. It's
Exactly.
important. Each one teach one. It reaches far beyond what you can even begin to imagine. No matter where you are, who you are. So I wasn't trained to be a director of an organization or a program. A program manager or to
Mhm.
write curriculums. Or the director board. I'm a retired nurse. I retired once I went to Africa, but so I wasn't ready for that. But if you just let God use you, if you
Yeah.
just let God use you,
Yeah.
you'll be surprised. Because even in the Bible, everybody He used, they weren't in their particular profession. They weren't in the
Right.
profession He chose them to do.
Right.
Just let Him use you. Just listen and just be humble. Be humble and be accepted. And it's nice to be nice.
And it's nice to be nice. Miss Victoria Blakely, I want you to stay on, and when I finish the show, you and I will talk. But thank you
Okay.
for being my guest today, and I love you, sweetie.
I love you, darling.
Take care of
So
yourself. Hold on.
thank you so much. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Same to you, baby. That's Miss Vicky, my little sister, Vicky Blakey. Wow, that's inspiring, and she's absolutely right. We all have to help each other. I mean, I this help and going to the Goodwill, doing my presentation this week and seeing how after I did it, I made little light bulbs come on in some people's spirits. To think about things that they could do for themselves, how they could start to look at themselves, dare to dream. You can be anything you want to be, do anything you want to do. And you can also, if you say you can't, you probably can't. So, that self-confidence, that belief in yourself, that courage. It takes courage to step out front. It takes courage to make moves to do better. It takes courage to be selfless. You hear me? It takes courage to be selfless. It ain't about you. It's about maybe somebody else. Because, like Vicky said, we're here to help each other, and we need to do much, much, much more than that. And so, on that note, I'm going to say it's dinner time somewhere. I know it's dinner time over here in the Miller's house. Bon appetit. Guess who's coming to dinner? I'll see you on Monday. And Monday, we're going to revisit the RISE program over at the Goodwill. So join us Monday so you can find out more about that again, okay? Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.